In a world where we are constantly bombarded with notifications, deadlines, and comparisons, the idea of self-care often boils down to superficial moments of relief. But what if true self-care was something much deeper? Something that not only fills a momentary void but builds a solid foundation for the life we really want. Imagine a turbulent river full of currents and obstacles. Now imagine that instead of fighting against these waters, you could create firm banks to guide it. These banks are discipline. Self-care isn't just about taking breaks or quick rewards. It's about shaping the life we want to live, guiding our actions and thoughts toward a greater purpose. At its core, perhaps the most powerful form of self-care is the one that demands commitment and discipline from us. Discipline is often seen as an external imposition, something that limits freedom or forces us to follow rules. But what if we viewed it differently? As a gift we give to ourselves. Think of a plant that to bloom needs water, light, and constant care. That's how we are. When we choose discipline, we are choosing to nourish our roots. We are committing to taking care of ourselves in a true way, not just in the immediate, but for the long term. Discipline gives us structure. It protects us from distraction, doubt, and chaos. Every small disciplined act is a reminder that we are capable of building the life we desire step by step, like a garden that blooms in its own time. Have you ever noticed that the people who seem the most prosperous have something in common? They have a routine. But it's not a routine that imprisons them. On the contrary, it's one that frees them. Every habit, every consistent step they take brings them closer to their goals. It's like building a bridge, brick by brick, until reaching the other side where true success resides. Discipline is the silent, often invisible path that leads to prosperity. It allows us to focus, evolve, and grow. When we cultivate small daily habits, we are investing in our future. It's like planting seeds that, with time and care, will turn into abundant fruit. When we align our actions with our dreams and follow a disciplined path, we find flow. Everything starts to flow naturally like a river that finally finds its course. Prosperity comes when we remain faithful to this process. It is often said that big changes come from small steps. It's easy to get lost in big goals and feel like they are out of reach. But the secret lies in the details, in the small daily habits that, over time, shape our lives. Imagine that every disciplined action is like a drop of water falling on a rock. At first, it seems insignificant, but over time, those drops are capable of carving even the hardest stone. The same happens with us. Small habits, when practiced consistently, have the power to transform our lives in unimaginable ways. It's not about perfection, but progress, about trusting that every disciplined act, no matter how small, brings us closer to who we want to be. These habits are small acts of self-care that, in the long run, translate into prosperity and balance. When we talk about discipline, we aren't just referring to rigid control of actions. Discipline is also about alignment, a deep connection with what moves us, with what gives us meaning. In many ways, discipline is a spiritual practice. Each act of discipline can be a moment of presence, a conscious choice that aligns us with our greater purpose. By choosing to act in a disciplined way, we are choosing to honor what is most true within us. As if in every small action, we are reaffirming our commitment to our own spiritual path. Imagine a pilgrim following a difficult but meaningful path. Every step is an expression of their desire to get closer to their purpose, to their final destination. That's what discipline is. It keeps us steady, helps us resist distractions, and leads us to the center of who we are. In a world full of extremes, overwork, constant distractions, the relentless pursuit of instant pleasure, discipline emerges as an anchor, a tool that brings us back to balance. It's easy to lose ourselves in the chaos of everyday life, but discipline offers a clear path. It allows us to create healthy routines, set boundaries, and, above all, stay focused on what truly matters. Through it, we find harmony between our desires, responsibilities, and aspirations. When we are disciplined, we start to realize that balance is not a static achievement, but a continuous process, an act of taking care of ourselves, of understanding our limits, and of creating spaces in our lives where we can truly breathe, reconnect, and flourish. Motivation and discipline go hand in hand. If discipline is the path, motivation is the spark that helps us keep walking, even when the ground becomes dry. But contrary to what many think, motivation isn't something that just shows up. It is cultivated. Think of someone who wants to run a marathon. In the first few days, motivation might be high, but over time, It is the discipline of running every day, even on the coldest mornings, that keeps the goal alive. And every mile run is a reminder of progress, reigniting the motivation to keep going. Just like in this example, true motivation is born when we see results, when we feel that we are closer to our goals. But it also flourishes when we remember why we started. Every time we remind ourselves of our purpose, of what really matters, we rekindle the flame that sustains our discipline. So instead of waiting for motivation, start with action. Daily discipline creates the motivation you need to keep going. It's a self-sustaining cycle. The more we act with discipline, the more motivated we become. Discipline isn't a destination, but a continuous process of growth. It's like a spiral that takes us deeper into self-awareness and toward our dreams. Each small disciplined act teaches us something new. It shows us that we are capable of more than we imagined. That with each step, we grow. This growth doesn't happen linearly, but in cycles. Sometimes we retreat, we stumble, but discipline gives us the chance to start again, to restart as many times as necessary. Discipline shows us that true self-care is being committed to our own evolution. It is an ongoing act of love that isn't limited to moments of rest or pleasure, but extends to every area of our lives, guiding us to the best version of ourselves. As we've seen, discipline is a continuous cycle of growth. It teaches us, shapes us, and allows us to evolve, even when we fall. And it is precisely in this process of falling and getting up, of learning from each step, that we find true self-care. Discipline guides us through life, not as a set of rules, but as a tool for transformation. Every disciplined act is a gesture of self-love, a commitment to our well-being and our future. When we align this practice with our deepest values, the path to prosperity becomes clearer, more fluid. And this is the flow we seek, a life where actions resonate with our purpose, where prosperity is not just material, but spiritual and emotional. Discipline opens doors to this balance, allowing us to flourish and thrive in all areas of life. In the end, discipline isn't a burden to be carried, but the key to a prosperous life where dreams and actions meet and turn into reality. And this journey doesn't end here. If you want to continue exploring the connection between discipline and alignment, I invite you to watch our next video. Training the Mind for Flow, we will dive even deeper into this conversation, understanding how discipline can lead us to a stronger personal and spiritual alignment.